heartily welcome everyone to Taraka Railway, and we're going to have a look today at another Hornby class, which is the class J15 BR Early Crest. Again, lovely boxing with the sleeve box and secure boxing. And then if you look at the box unit on the side, you'll see there's a model, Hornby model number 3530, and it's the class J15 060 BR Early Crest. Now, as we look at the back of the box, it's also got the illustrations of the locomotive and then also the history line of the class. And this class is the 1P2F, class J15, and it's also DCC ready. So, designed by Thomas William Worsdale, the GER class Y14, which is now the LNER class J15, was his solution to the lack of suitable freight locomotives available on the Doncaster route. The first Y14s were built in July 1883, and they became the Great Eastern Railway's most common locomotive type, with a total of 259 being built in 27 batches. The secret of their success was their simple design, and in 1891, the Great Eastern Railway set the world record for erecting a steam locomotive number 930 being assembled at Stratford in just 9 hours and 45 minutes, hauling both freight and passenger stock, and with a very low axle loading, they could run virtually anywhere on the Great Eastern's network. Withdrawals from service started to take place during the early 1920s, 17 disappearing before the grouping in 1923. As the numbers of locomotives reduced, so did the roles assigned to the J15s changed, local freight and cross-country passenger services becoming typical. Rarely allocated outside East Anglia, scrapping of the class recommenced in 1947, just 71 engines making it through to nationalisation, the last 4 being withdrawn from service on September the 16th of 1962. So it's also interesting to know that a further 19 locomotives were built, but not at Stratford, and these models were built at Sharp Stewart and Company in 1884. Now coming back to the Hornby model in front of us, the J15, the charm of these locomotives comes from the ancient design styles, and Hornby has reflected that superbly in its model. Locomotive 65469 was built at Stratford Works and entered traffic in May 1912 as GER number 571, being allocated initially to Cambridge Shed. Being renumbered to 7571 under the LNER, the locomotive stayed at Cambridge until June the 5th, 1938, when it was moved to Stratford. The locomotive was then regularly moved around East Anglia, being allocated in various turns to Norwich, Lowestoft, Yarmouth, Yarmouth Beach, Cambridge and March. Renumbered as 65469 in December the 2nd, 1950, the locomotive was withdrawn from service in August 1962. The J15 has this amazing crest on it, and that's why I decided to go for the early crest on this specific locomotive, and it's the crest of a lion standing proud over a huge railway wheel with the words British Railways in capital letters cutting through its centre. So that's just a little bit of info on crests. So also to take note, during 1890s, S.D. Holden attempted to standardize the J15 design with his J14 design. This was flawed, and he quickly restarted the J-15 construction in 1899. The J-15s were a very successful class of locomotive. During World War I, 43 J-15s were loaned to the government for use in France and Belgium. These were eventually returned, but number 513 was withdrawn in 1920 due to excessive damage. This was the first withdrawal, and further 16 of the J-14s were withdrawn by 1922. Although withdrawals continued throughout the life of the LNER, 127 would survive into BR ownership 1948 under nationalisation. The last withdrawals occurred on the 16th of September 1962. The last of the original Warsdale J-15s, number 7690, was sold in 1938 to the Bairds and Scottish Steel Company in Lanarkshire. Renumbered number 1, it was eventually broken up in about 1960. Number 65462 was purchased by Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway Society and survives in working order today. So there you have it. Overall, a lovely locomotive for a layout, and I really enjoyed in my era that I'm running on the layout. It's just absolutely amazing little hard-working, majestic little loco. And I think it's a little pocket rocket on any layout, so a definite must. And I don't know if I mentioned it to you before, just one more interesting thing about this model locomotive from Hornby. It's the one that is featuring the red conrods. So I've seen a couple without that, and I actually didn't like the red conrods initially, but then eventually I grew to love it. So now it's part of the loco. It actually just complements it in a very unique way, I think, also. Alright everyone, thank you so much for joining me once again, and thanks for your comments and views on the channel. And if you are a current subscriber, I really appreciate you subscribing to my channel. And if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Help the channel grow. Thanks again. All my best. Regards, Elizabeth.